I've watched how Chief Bane holds herself, and that lady knows combat. I'd love to spar with her someday.
Huh, that lady will kick your ass.
Drake, the Undaunted are impressive. I wish I'd known about them when I was a lass. Across the world, a band of adventurers explores the depths and fights monsters. And they sing! Who knows no fear of Daedric blades? We are undaunted!
Hey, I know you're excited about this whole Undaunted thing, but I just think you ought to slow down a little.
If you're up for it, my training as a knight has me itching to take on some tougher enemies. I've heard stories about them lurking out in the wilds or in the depths of delves. And of course, perhaps we could net some good stories as well.
Oh yeah? How about these two guys? They look like a bit of a challenge. Ah, don't worry about it. Just glad I was there. Would have been a hell of a lot worse if I wasn't there, right? Hey guys, didn't realize we had an audience. Well, you're just in time. Welcome to ESO Vault. Today I've got a heavy attack Oakensoul Templar for you. This reminds me a lot of the heavy attack Necromancer I did recently because both builds forgo the traditional method of getting off balance and instead rely on a class skill. Now this isn't a meta build. Instead of being driven by what's the absolute highest damage, the builds here on my channel follow what I like to call the 3 R's. That's readily available gear, reproducible rotations, and reachable DPS. By following those guidelines, for the most part, I like to think that I come up with stuff that the average player is going to be able to use, and I base that on a sample size of 1. I like to consider myself pretty representative of what the average player can handle. Alright, now that the preliminaries are out of the way, let's get on with today's Templar build, Divine Wrath. Here on the character sheet, you can see that this guy is a Nord. I have only one Templar, and it's a Nord. Is Nord a good Magicka damage dealer race? No, not in particular. Best Magicka DPS races are up on the screen. My buff food I'm using is Mistral Banana Bunny Hash. Yeah, you heard that right. Mistral Banana Bunny Hash, which is a bi-stat food that buffs health and Magicka. I guess I was just being cheap. Most of the time I use Bewitched Sugar Skulls, which buff all 3 stats, plus a little health recovery. And I'm using the Thief Mundus Stone for extra critical. That's the best choice for group content. If you're going to go solo all the time, you can take the Lover if you want. Up at the top of the character sheet, I've got 28,000 points of Magicka, 26,000 points of health, and 15,000 points of stamina. If I run the Sugar Skulls, I get a lot more stamina and only slightly less Magicka. That's the smart way to go. Recovery numbers are all pretty low, but on a heavy attack build, that doesn't mean much. Destruction Staff heavy attacks restore more Magicka than I'm using. 4,300 points of spell damage and 46% critical chance, and those are pretty typical. I didn't mention that I have all 64 points in Magicka. For anybody new, that's the way it's done for a damage dealer. All in on Magicka or stamina, depending on your resource consumption. Doesn't matter which one, as long as you can sustain during a fight. Damage skills will scale with either one for the most part. Penetration looks pretty skimpy, but wait and see what it is during a fight. That's one thing you have to remember. These numbers are all dynamic, and during a fight, they're in a constant state of flux. The trick is to keep them as high as you can for as long as you can. Potions, group buffs, skills, lots of things can have an impact on the numbers. Okay, let's move on and look at skills, which are the most important part. Even in a gear-driven heavy attack build, the right mix of skills is super important, especially because in a 1-bar build, you don't have many skills. Okay, the first skill and the one I lead off with is Elemental Susceptibility. This decreases the target's armor by 5,000 points and inflicts them with all 3 elemental status effects every 7 seconds. This is single target, so save this for priority targets. Skip this skill on trash. Next is Toppling Charge from the Templar's Class Skills Kit. Toppling Charge causes my character to rapidly close the distance between me and my target, and in doing so it causes damage, but more importantly it sets the target off balance. Off-balance targets take 70% more damage from heavy attacks. Off-balance is active for 7 seconds, and it has a 15-second cooldown. My next skill is another one I reserve for priority targets, and that's Power of the Light from the Templar's class skills. Power of the Light reduces the target's armor by 3,000 points for 10 seconds and copies a portion of the damage I do for 6 seconds, then explodes. The more damage I do during that time, the more damage the explosion does. After that, I start holding down the heavy attack button and I don't let up. During the first heavy attack, I'll queue up the toppling charge skill by hitting that button while I'm holding heavy attack. When the heavy attack finishes, toppling charge will fire, and then another heavy attack will start if I'm still holding the heavy attack button down. Keep holding that button. Now I queue up toppling charge again. Power of the Light will explode somewhere in there, so I queue that up again. I'll keep going like that using Power of the Light followed by toppling charge twice. I'm going to stay close so I can keep using toppling charge at point blank range, but if I have to back off, it's no big deal. And I'm careful not to use toppling charge when I can't get close to an enemy. I'll refresh elemental susceptibility when it runs out by queuing that up. I'll substitute this for toppling charge. I try not to skip Power of the Light. Camouflage Hunter from the Fighters Guild is here for a passive boost to weapon damage. I don't use the skill. My self-heal is Breath of Life, and it will also heal one other player as well. So really, I'm not just a DPS, I can act as off-heals as well. If I see a tank's in trouble, you can bet I'm hitting that button. Last on my bar is the ultimate, Thunderous Rage. That's the Unmorphed Destruction Staff ultimate, and I can't wait to get that morphed. If you have the Mages Guild ultimate, you can use that. I don't have it on this character. That's it for skills. So it's hold down heavy attack and use toppling charge twice for every cast of Power of the Light. I work in elemental susceptibility as needed. Pretty simple, right? Okay, let's see it in action.
The Daedra fill me. Loathing isn't the right word. Fury. Their darkness threatens everyone and everything on Nirn. Stendarr gives me the strength to fight them, and I swear to do so at every turn.
Okay, great. Then you won't mind what's about to happen. Elemental susceptibility, toppling charge, Power of the Light, and I drop my ulti. Toppling charge, Power of the Light, and so on. Toppling charge, Power of the Light, easy. Refresh elemental susceptibility. Bye now. Go cool your heels for a few thousand years, you Daedric piece of shit. 40,000 points of damage per second. Not too bad for a Nord that's only got 2 moves. And the build could do a couple thousand more if I got my ulti morphed, and if I had the right glyph on my staff. Since I don't need a shot glyph here because I'm not going that route to get off balance, I should have run a fire glyph. I meant to, but I forgot. Oh well. Look at the penetration, 9,000 points. Power of the Light plus elemental susceptibility. Get a tank in here with a crusher enchant and enemies are practically naked. Alright, let's take a look at gear. This is the same gear I've been running on every heavy attack build. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I know this gear works and it's easy to get. I have the Sergeant's Mail 5-piece set. A lightning staff, necklace, ring, and shoulder. 5 pieces. The staff counts as 2. Sergeant's Mail comes from Wayrest Sewers, and you can do that on normal if you want. I've got a Slime Crawl helm for extra crit, and that comes from the same place. If you don't want to do the veteran version of the dungeon, get the shoulders from the Undaunted vendor. I'm also wearing the Stormmaster set, which is from Tempest Island. If you don't want to do that dungeon, you can use other sets as a second set. You can run Deadly Strike, you can run Noble Duelist, you can craft the Order's Wrath set. Some people have said in the comments that they got better results with Deadly or Order's Wrath. That wasn't my experience when I tried them. They were in the same ballpark though, so if that's what you got, go ahead and run it. Last piece of gear is the Oaken Soul Ring, and that's kind of hard to replace. It's got so many buffs, there's no way to come up with all of them. You can come up with the Empower buff though. That's the important one. That increases your heavy attack damage by 70%. If you don't have the Oaken Soul Ring, you can get Empower from the Mages Guild skill line. Substitute Scalding Ruin for Power of the Light. Alternate between that and Toppling Charge. It's not going to work as well as having the Oaken Soul ring, but you can run that until you get the ring. Bloodthirsty is the best trait for the jewelry. Armor enchant should be Magicka. Alright, that's it for the gear. Let's take a look at champion points. Blue champion points are Fighting Finesse, Weapons Expert, Deadly Aim, and Wrathful Strikes. And that's it for today's build, Divine Wrath. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to mash the like button, and if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe to the channel. Well, Isabel, did you have a good time?
It's a pleasure to ride with you. I hope this is just early days in our tale.
Okay, great. There's the usual fashion show and a fight at the end if you want to stick around for that. Okay, thanks for watching. I'm Centurion, and you've been watching ESO Vault. Have a great day and enjoy your adventures in Tamriel. So, were they enough of a challenge for you?